I was always jealous because the older cast members would get a break when they didn't have a scene, and the kids would have to go to the schoolroom and sit in a little room and do work, so.
She was born in the glow of Hollywood's lights, but she never belonged to its spotlight, before she became the quiet center of one of America's most chaotic TV families, before she stood on national television and turned truth into courage. Sara Gilbert was just a quiet child in a loud world, watching everyone else perform while she searched for something real. In a town built on illusion, she craved authenticity. From the beginning, her story wasn't about fame, it was about truth, because while other children dreamed of red carpets and flashing cameras, Sara dreamed of stillness. She watched the world of Hollywood, the endless rehearsals, the bright smiles that dimmed when the cameras stopped, the applause that never lasted long enough, and wondered what it all really meant. Even as a child, she sensed that the world around her was built on performance, that people wore personas like costumes, and that beneath every perfect moment lived a shadow of exhaustion and loneliness. She saw fame for what it truly was, beautiful, but fleeting, dazzling, but demanding. Sara wasn't loud. She wasn't the kind of child who demanded to be seen. Instead, she observed everything. The tone in a person's voice, the hesitation behind their smile, the way truth lived quietly between the lines of a script. While most kids her age played make-believe, Sara studied what made people real. That curiosity, that hunger for honesty, would one day become her superpower. In a city that rewards noise, Sara learned to make silence her strength. She didn't need to shout to be heard, she only needed to speak truthfully. There was something magnetic about her quiet, the kind of presence that made you listen, even when she said nothing at all. From the very beginning, Sara's story felt different. She wasn't running toward Hollywood, she was trying to understand it. And maybe that's why her journey would one day matter so much, because she wasn't shaped by the spotlight. She was forged in the spaces just outside it, where authenticity still meant something, and where the smallest truths could shine brighter than fame itself. Sara Rebecca Abeles was born on January 29, 1975, at St. John's Hospital in Santa Monica, California, already surrounded by a legacy written in script pages. Her mother, Barbara Cowan, had been a child actress in the 1950s. Her grandfather, Harry Crane, was one of television's founding architects, the man who created The Honeymooners. In most families, success is a dream. In the Abeles household, it was inherited. But behind that golden curtain of legacy was something darker, the price of light itself. Barbara had once been married to Paul Gilbert, a charming vaudeville performer and World War II veteran. Paul adopted Barbara's two children, Melissa and Jonathan Gilbert, who would go on to become household names through Little House on the Prairie. The Gilberts were the picture of television perfection, smiling, successful, unstoppable. But in 1976, when Sara was just a year old, that picture shattered. Paul Gilbert was found dead. The family told the world, and their children, that he had died of a stroke. Years later, the truth surfaced like a ghost. Paul had taken his own life. For Sara, that revelation wasn't just tragedy, it was transformation. The silence surrounding her father's death became a kind of haunting, teaching her that pain, when hidden, becomes part of a family's DNA. While the world saw laughter, Sara learned to see what lived beneath it. That early loss would define the way she told stories forever, not as illusions, but as emotional excavations. Her mother later remarried, and Sara took her stepfather's surname, Gilbert. It seemed simple, but for Sara, it was symbolic. She wasn't just inheriting a name, she was inheriting the responsibility of making it mean something new. While her half-sister Melissa was America's sweetheart, bright, charming, adored by millions, Sara stood in the background, quiet, analytical, watchful. Hollywood was loud, Sara preferred the silence between the applause. Even as a child, she sensed something most adults never do, that fame could feed you, but it could also consume you. In 1984, at just 9 years old, she made her first defining choice. She officially adopted the name Sara Gilbert, claiming it as her own. Not because she wanted fame, but because she wanted belonging. In a family where everyone performed, that decision was her way of saying, I exist too, but I'll do it differently. She didn't crave red carpets. She wanted meaning. That difference would soon define her. In 1988, a new sitcom was casting, Roseanne, a blue-collar comedy about a family that looked and sounded like real Americans. No glamour, no polish, just truth. At 13, Sara auditioned for the role of Darlene Connor, the sarcastic, sharp-tongued daughter who always seemed older than everyone else in the room. The producers didn't just find an actress, they found an anchor. Darlene wasn't a character, she was Sara's mirror. Sarcasm as armor, intelligence as rebellion, silence as power. The world fell in love with that girl who rolled her eyes through chaos yet somehow understood it better than the adults. For Sara, Roseanne was more than a job, it was a mirror. Through Darlene, she poured every bit of her teenage confusion, her sarcasm, her quiet rebellion, and her need to be understood. Each scene was a reflection of the contradictions she saw in the world, laughter and pain, love and frustration, chaos and connection. When audiences laughed at Darlene's sharp comebacks, they were really laughing at the truth, the kind of honesty most families avoided but secretly lived every day. Behind the cameras, Sara found something even more profound, a sense of belonging. The set became her second home, and her castmates became family. Roseanne gave her what Hollywood rarely offers, permission to be real. And for millions of viewers who saw themselves in that messy, loud, imperfect family, Darlene wasn't just a character, she was a voice that finally said what everyone else was afraid to admit. But while fame embraced her, Sara kept her distance. Other teen stars chased nightclubs and headlines. Sara chased perspective. She read voraciously, studied photography, and questioned everything about the world around her. When Roseanne dominated primetime, she enrolled at Yale University, majoring in art and photography. The network adjusted filming schedules so she could attend classes, something almost unheard of. That alone showed her rare kind of power, the kind built on respect, not noise. At Yale, she found peace in anonymity. No laugh tracks. No cameras. Just the freedom to create without expectation. She learned how light shapes emotion through a lens, lessons that would one day guide her behind the camera. When Roseanne ended in 1997, most people expected her to chase another sitcom or a blockbuster role. But Sara had other plans. She didn't want to keep playing someone else, she wanted to understand why people played at all. She took smaller, riskier parts, Poison Ivy with Drew Barrymore, Sooty and Simpson, and later recurring roles on ER and The Big Bang Theory. As Dr. Leslie Winkle, she reintroduced herself to a new generation, not as a nostalgic face, but as a whip-smart physicist who could match men line for line, intellect for intellect. It was meta in a way, Darlene Connor all grown up, now dismantling another male-dominated world with wit and quiet defiance. But 2010 changed everything. After decades of performing in other people's visions, Sara walked into CBS with her own. She proposed something radical, a daytime talk show without pretense. Not celebrity gossip, not shallow chatter, real conversation. Executives hesitated. Honesty doesn't sell, one told her. Sara disagreed. She created The Talk. It premiered on October 18, 2010, Sara as co-host and executive producer. From its first week, it felt different. Instead of glamorized panels, The Talk felt like sitting with friends in a living room where the cameras had simply forgotten to leave. They cried, they argued, they told the truth, and viewers responded with something Hollywood hadn't seen in a while, genuine connection. Then came 2013, the moment that would define Sara far beyond television. During an episode, while discussing love and self-discovery, she quietly revealed that she was gay, explaining that she'd realized it years earlier while dating her Roseanne co-star Johnny Galecki. There was no drama, no script, no announcement fanfare. Just truth. In an industry that demands performance, she gave the world vulnerability. And it changed everything. Fans flooded social media with gratitude. LGBTQ+ advocates called the moment a milestone in daytime television. But for Sara, it wasn't activism, it was relief. "I just didn't want to hide," she said. Behind that calm courage was a deeply human story. She had already built a private life with television producer Allison Adler, raising 2 children, Levi Hank and Sawyer Jane. Their home was filled with art, laughter, and normalcy, the rarest luxury in Hollywood. When the couple separated in 2011, they did it with grace, promising to remain friends and co-parents. And they did. Later that year, Sara met Linda Perry, the powerhouse singer-songwriter behind What's Up, and one of the few female producers to dominate the music industry. Their relationship was raw, creative, electric. They married in 2014 and welcomed their son, Rhodes, in 2015. But love, like art, evolves. By 2019, they separated, amicably, heartbreakingly, honestly. The divorce finalized in 2024, but there was no bitterness. "We built something beautiful," Sara said. "And beauty doesn't end when something changes." It was the essence of her entire life philosophy, that endings aren't failures, they're transformations. Then came the storm that in 2018, Roseanne returned, and so did Darlene Connor. The revival premiere drew over 18 million viewers, the biggest comedy debut in years. Nostalgia surged. For Sara, it felt like closure, the chance to revisit the family that made her, this time with wisdom. But on May 29, 2018, everything imploded. Roseanne Barr, the show's creator and namesake, tweeted a racist remark about former White House advisor Valerie Jarrett. The backlash was instant and unforgiving. Within hours, ABC canceled the show. The cast was stunned. Millions of jobs, millions of fans, gone. Sara, both co-star and producer, faced an impossible choice: stay silent and protect the brand, or speak up and defend what was right. She chose integrity. Her statement was brief but seismic: "Roseanne's comments are abhorrent and unacceptable." That single sentence drew both praise and fury. Some called her courageous, others accused her of betrayal. Roseanne herself lashed out publicly, blaming Sara for the show's downfall. But Sara didn't respond. She let silence do the talking. Behind that silence was heartbreak. Years of friendship turned to ashes overnight. Yet, Sara's decision also birthed something unexpected. The Connors. ABC restructured the series, killing off Roseanne's character and putting Darlene at its moral center. Many thought it would fail. It didn't. Under Sara's creative leadership, the Connors thrived, tackling opioid addiction, financial stress, and modern parenthood with humor and humanity. It was more than a sitcom, it was a mirror of America's survival instinct. Through 7 seasons, the show stood as ABC's top comedy until its finale in April 2025. When it ended, critics called it the most honest depiction of working-class life since All in the Family. And at the heart of that truth again was Sara Gilbert. After the finale, she didn't chase another spotlight. She didn't need to. Through her company, Sara plus Tom Productions, co-founded with producer Tom Werner, she began developing content centered on authenticity. No explosions, no superheroes, just human stories about connection, loss, and resilience. She also appeared in Atypical on Netflix and hinted at a return to her Big Bang Theory roots in the upcoming spin-off Stuart Fails to Save the Universe. They were continuations, reflections of a woman who never stopped evolving. Her legacy isn't one of noise, but of depth. She's the artist who turned vulnerability into leadership, the producer who built a platform for women to speak freely, the actress who taught a generation that sarcasm can hide empathy, and that silence, when used with purpose, can be the loudest sound of all. She began her life watching others perform, and ended it teaching the world how to be real. She turned pain into empathy, loss into art, and identity into inspiration. Even now, her fingerprints linger across television, in every show that dares to tell the truth, in every actor who chooses honesty over image, in every viewer who feels seen because someone like Sara Gilbert chose to live authentically on screen. Because Sara Gilbert never needed the spotlight, she became the light, and in an industry built on pretending, she proved that the bravest thing you can ever do is to be yourself.